Hey boys and girls, it's Mr. D back again. Hope everybody's doing well, learning at home, feeling good, doing lots of good things through our um, amphibian project that we've been working on. You guys have been doing an outstanding job reading through the Frog and Toad books here with me. Today we're going to be in the fourth chapter of Frog and Toad Together, which is a great book, and it's been really funny. There's been a lot of really good parts, and you guys at home have been doing a great job about learning about cause and effect. Okay, cause and effect. That means the cause is because of this, and the effect is this happened. Okay, so like because of this happened. Like right now I have a sweatshirt on. That was the effect. The cause was it's cold in my house. So that is one way to think of cause and effect. Okay, um, you know, uh, the effect was the effect tomorrow is I had to get my shovel out. Okay, that was my effect. Cause it snowed outside. So those are ways to think of cause and effect. Now, we've been doing a great job learning about cause and effect through our chapters so far. Like, again, in the list, we talked about how a strong wind blew Toad's list away. He listened to his friend Frog so he could go to sleep really at a really good time. Okay, we also talked about the garden. Toad waited and was patient. It also rained and was sunny. That the effect was his seeds started to sprout. And the chapter we read last was cookies. Frog and Toad needed to stop eating all the cookies so they would not get sick. They just keep eating and eating and eating the cookies. So they did a bunch of things to try to get rid of the cookies, but finally the effect was, you know what? Frog said, I'm just going to give the birds these cookies. And they did. But, Toad was pretty frustrated, even though they showed a lot of willpower, which is something that we talked about in the last chapter. Today's chapter is called Dragons and Giants, okay? Dragons and Giants. Now, that sounds like quite an adventure, and I'm going to give you the effect right from the get-go. Toad jumped into bed, and Frog jumped into the closet. Were they chased by a dragon? Were they chased by a giant? Did the dragon breathe some fire? Let's find out, because that's our chapter title is our prediction that there's going to be a dragon and a giant chasing after Frog and Toad. Let's find out today, because you already know what the effect is. Let's figure out what the cause was as we read through the chapter. So keep that in mind as we're reading Dragons and Giants, okay? Hope everything is going to go good. Okay. Frog and Toad were reading a book together. The people in this book are brave, said Toad. They fight dragons and giants, and they are never afraid. I wonder if we are brave, said Frog. Frog and Toad looked into a mirror. We look brave, said Frog. Yes, but are we? Asked Toad. Frog and Toad went outside. We can try to climb this mountain, said Frog. That should tell us if we are brave. Frog went leaping over rocks, and Toad came puffing up behind him. They came to a dark cave. A big snake came out of the cave. Hello, lunch, said the snake when he saw Frog and Toad. He opened his mouth wide. Frog and Toad jumped away. Toad was shaking. I am not afraid, he cried. They climbed higher, and they heard a loud noise. Many large stones were rolling down the mountain. It's an avalanche, cried Toad. Frog and Toad jumped away. Frog was trembling. I am not afraid, he shouted. They came to the top of a mountain. The shadow of a hawk fell over them. Frog and Toad jumped under a rock. The hawk flew away. We are not afraid, screamed Frog and Toad at the same time. Then they ran down the mountain very fast. They ran past the place where they saw the avalanche. They ran past the place where they saw the snake. They ran all the way back to Toad's house. Frog, I am glad to have a brave friend like you, said Toad. He jumped into bed and pulled the covers over his head. And I am happy to know a brave person like you, Toad, said Frog. He jumped into the closet and shut the door. Toad stayed in bed, and Frog stayed in the closet. They stayed there for a long time, just feeling very brave together. Oh, Frog and Toad, you silly guys. So, here's the thing. We're going back to what we're talking about, cause and effect. Because of this, this happened. So, let's take a look at what happened in our chapter. Now, we know the title of this chapter was called Dragons and Giants. But were there dragons and giants really in the chapter? I don't think so. When were there dragons and giants? There was dragons and giants when they read the story at the beginning. Okay, so the effect was Toad jumped into the bed and Frog jumped into the closet. What now? So basically, the cause is because of this. What happened to make them do that? What happened in the story to make them do that? Okay, let me get my marker. You can listen along with me, but you guys can try to write it down while I write mine down. Okay, I'm going to write a pretty adventurous day. You could even draw one of the things that happens because of something going on. I'm going to say they had a scary, adventurous day. Outside. Okay. Now, here's how I'll explain that. Okay. So my cause was they had a scary, adventurous day outside. Well, why do you think I said that? Well, that hawk flew over them. There was an avalanche. A snake came out and wanted to eat them. So there was like 3 things that was really scary for them that made them, because they thought they were brave. You know, they read about the dragons and giants in the beginning, but you know, they said, let's see if we're brave. And you know, they went out and they were not scared of those things. But finally, they got home and they were happy to be together in Toad's house. That's why Toad jumped into bed and Frog jumped in the closet. So if I was going to say the cause was they had a scary, adventurous day, and what they did was they jumped into bed and Frog jumped back into his closet. They probably seemed, you know, fairly content to stay at home instead of, you know, being out in the crazy world the whole time. So there's my cause and effect. So if you drew for your cause, if you drew the avalanche, if you drew the hawk, or if you drew the snake, you'd be right. Okay, that was the cause. That's what made them jump back into bed and even in the closet so they would feel safe together. Okay, so that's our cause and effect for dragons and giants. So a pretty funny chapter with a lot of interesting things in there. So as always, we have 4 choices for you after each chapter. Okay, so we have a lot of good ones here today to choose from. Okay, in Dragons and Giants, one thing that you could do is, how would you look as a dragon or giant? Draw and explain. Like, draw yourself as a dragon or a giant. How would you look? Explain why you look that way. That seems like a pretty funny choice. Another choice you could do is come up with 5 words that rhyme with brave. You can draw and label them. Put a few in sentences. That would be amazing. Number 3, I think a lot of you guys will pick this, is write an adventure story. Okay. Now I know a lot of you guys are like, you know, Harry Potter fans or fans of adventure stories that you're reading. You know, Frog and Toad just had a crazy adventure out in the world with, you know, from the hawk and the snake and the avalanche. Why don't you guys write your own adventure story? I think that would be awesome. You also could illustrate it. It sounds like something that we really want to share with friends, you know, and really keep your interest. And the last choice today is write or draw about a time that you were brave. Okay, a lot of you guys are brave, you know, on a daily basis. Write or draw about a time that you were brave. Okay, so here again is the 4 choices for dragons and giants. How would you look as a dragon or a giant? Draw and explain. Or you could do 5 words that rhyme with brave. Draw and label that. Last one, third one is write an adventure story. Okay, that's a story with you. You know, have quotes, have different characters. That'll be a great one. I hope a lot of people choose that. And the last choice is write or draw about a time that you were brave. Okay. So boys and girls, another great job learning about cause and effect with Frog and Toad. Make a good choice out of the 4 things that we have for this chapter. Everybody's doing great learning at home. We'll talk to you again soon.